Hello, everyone. My name is Jordyn Smith, and I am the voice and the astrologer for this YouTube channel, Nonconformist Conscience. Today, I am going to go over the event chart for when the nodal axis entered or ingressed into the signs of Virgo and Pisces. Now, for this video, I'm going to look at this on a collective level, and I'm not going to bring in as many personal or individual um, ways that this can relate. The reason being is I just made a very long article on this about how to look at this in your chart and then also the archetypes of what this is reflecting. All right. So it in the article, it's really speaking to what the South Node is doing in your chart, what the North Node is doing in your chart. That also leads me to, before I go over this event chart, I have a big announcement dealing with this nodal axis. On March 1st, I'm going to be doing a small and intimate workshop that is titled How to Work with the Virgo Pisces Nodal Cycle. And in this workshop, it is only offered to 5 people, the first 5 people who sign up. You can book this on my website on the booking and services page. It's $45. It is a 2.5 hour class held on March 1st at 1 to 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is on a Saturday. The reason why this class is 2.5 hours long and intimate is because we are going to be utilizing your individual charts, and I am going to answer the questions about your charts. You will need to be open to having your charts displayed on the screen and us to converse about them. So 5 people will look at your charts in this time span. I'll really be leading this and answering any and all questions. It's immersive for each one of you who choose to join. It will be recorded. You will be able to receive the recording. And I will also probably put this recording up for purchase, so you will have to be okay with your chart being displayed for whoever purchases this this class workshop. So what is this class workshop going to go over? Well, I'm going to go over in depth the archetype of the South Node and the North Node, what that means, what it's reflecting, how it's utilized in the natal chart. Some of this is in my article I just wrote, but this will be more in depth. I'm also going to go over the rulers of this nodal axis, which is Mercury and Neptune, and how we're supposed to use our natal Mercury and Neptune to look at this dynamic in our own natal charts. The other layer to this is I'm going to be going over the south node, the south planetary node of Mercury and the north planetary node of Neptune in the chart. So it's a lot of layers to this that really give a in-depth look at how this is working within each one of our individual charts. So lots of chart interpretation, lots of questions, and also discussion around what this means. Hopefully you will gather something from it. I feel like this is a really great opportunity if you are someone who is wanting to consciously work with these energies. If you're someone who's going to go through a nodal return, you might really want to be a part of this. If I get more interest or people start emailing me and wanting or wishing that they could be a part of it, if the class is filled up, I will do a secondary workshop at a later date. So it really is dependent upon who wants to show up and who doesn't. And I'm thinking this is off the riff. I might not use this for to be purchased on my website. I would want everyone to be in agreement. So the first 5 people who show up, that is how I'm going to do this. The first 5 people who show up, we can discuss, and if we're in agreement that it's okay to post this for purchase on my website, then I will do that. If not, then we won't do that. But I will do these two workshops if necessary, but definitely the first one will be March 1st. I find working with the nodal axis absolutely profound. And it is because it is bringing up, it's the forefront in evolutionary astrology besides Pluto. It is such a part of the Pluto paradigm, the nodal axis, that when we're having a transit, even if it's not your nodal return, which by the way, I'm going to discuss the cycles and the meaning of them in that workshop, but of the nodes, but even if it's not, we each have Virgo and Pisces somewhere in our own natal charts in a house. And what that is speaking to is bringing up prior dynamics of the past dealing with the South Node in order to make new choices. So if you want to kind of get a feel for what this could be about, you can read the article that I posted where I go over some of this. It's free to everyone to read. It will be the link will be posted in the description of this video. So without further ado, let's talk about this nodal ingress chart. So what this chart is reflecting is the initiation of this 18-month long cycle of the nodes being in Virgo South Node and Pisces North Node. And so even on a collective level, what this is speaking to is the collective unconscious wanting to initiate a cycle that is 18 months long of where we're needing to bring up prior dynamics of the past, past, South Node and Virgo experiences in order to learn how to improve where we're denying or where we're excusing different things and where we're needing to purge and purify these past dynamics. Virgo. It's also reflecting on a collective level through the North Node that as we confront these old Virgo dynamics, there can be triggers for new choices to be made, seen through Neptune, the ruler of the North Node of Pisces for the collective. This is also speaking to as we get triggered to make a new choice, it can thrust us back into having to do the self-improvement dynamic in order to integrate the Piscean archetype of consciousness expanding, old belief structures dissolving, aligning the collective with things that are healing, that could be promoting different philosophies, different belief structures, different values, different meaning. And this can look so many different ways. There's natural expressions of this and there's distortions. But what we want to realize is that the South Node is the prior dynamics, the apparent cause, and the North Node is reflecting the choices that are needing to be made. And so we have to kind of go back to that South Node a little bit, re-experience things on a collective level to improve, and then in order to heal and do the Piscean dynamic, which ultimately it's about creating new awareness in our consciousness through values, through beliefs, through what we're giving meaning to, through philosophies. It's important to remember that Pisces contains all the archetypes of the whole zodiac. So all types of dynamics are going to be triggered throughout these 18 months. And we need to remember that Pluto is in Aquarius. And Pluto in Aquarius, in a general sense, is reflecting the necessity to liberate from where we've over-identified with certain forms of security on a collective level. Security, it is what is known and familiar. It doesn't mean that it is naturally secure. And I want to make that point. And Pluto in Aquarius has the ability to accelerate the individuated unconscious of the collective. All right? Through confrontations of where we're dealing with shocks, blows, trauma, or revelations, ideas, community, liberation, revolution, all different types of facets. And so Pluto is really speaking to this bottom line function on a collective level, but in order to actualize the dynamic of liberation and freedom from the known, we're needing to revisit prior instances of a Virgo-like nature. And as we do that, it will naturally help us to pull in the natural expression of Leo, hopefully, fingers crossed, of healing Pisces North Node through the heart, through tapping into these timeless and universal Pisces laws that are really the ways in which our societies, communities, humanity in general are meant to be structured. So there is a massive deconditioning seen through Saturn and Pisces underway, and a massive amount of my internet went out, but it came back on. But also, what I was saying is there's a massive amount of work and improvement to be done through confronting different Virgo-like dynamics. All right. So let me share this chart with you so we can speak to this. It's really truly speaking to this dynamic. We need to look at, the first thing I want to say is that Pluto in this chart, and this is the chart for the collective, is in the 4th house, and it's conditioned by Capricorn. So it's also bringing in Uranus in the 8th, and also Saturn in the 6th in Pisces. So bottom line here is Pluto is really indicating for the collective, all of humanity, Aquarius, that there needs to be a liberation from where we've over-identified through certain forms of security dealing with a Capricornian distortion, patriarchal nature, meaning the beliefs, the philosophies, and the rules, the laws, the ideals, the values in which we've structured humanity at this point in time. And so the facilitator of this 4th house is that Saturn in Pisces. In the 6th house, there's a need to improve upon dissolving these old structures within the collective conscious, or Pisces is the unconscious, because the ways in which we have structured society and the collective unconscious are not feasible anymore. And so there's this need to improve. And if we don't improve, it's going to bring in a Virgo-like crisis. We're already seeing this in different areas in the world right now through humanitarian traumas, dealing with global warming and wars and division. And this is all correlating to values that are a distortion of natural law. So there's this absolute need to tap into the Piscean absolute truth, to confront the truth right now. Uranus retrograde in Taurus in the eighth house is the ruler of that Pluto. So it's giving context to, again, eighth house needing to confront different structures and power that we have over-identified with that are really, it's the misuse of power, needing to confront and liberate from the misuse of power, especially dealing with the values and the ways in which we share resources or manipulate eighth house resources for the gain in a selfish way, and how there's been a resistance to liberating from these dynamics. Mars in Cancer in that 10th house is really retrograde, right? We know this retrograde cycle is going on. We're going to get one last opposition to Pluto. Mars retrograde in Cancer is also reflecting the need for us on a collective level to initiate the throwing off of old desires of where we have gained security in, again, a distorted way and through a patriarchal way. It's also us needing to look at how we're identifying leadership. And then that is ruled by the moon at 26 degrees in Gemini in the ninth house, square to the nodal axis. This is really reflecting we are at a pivotal moment right now on a global level for humanity, and that there is a choice. The people, the moon, need to make a choice. And that moon is ruled by Mercury in Capricorn in the third of accountability. And that accountability goes back to Saturn and Pisces. The accountability involves the need to improve upon what authority is, how we've structured everything, and the choices that we need to make, and needing to align ourselves with the moon in the ninth house, more natural, timeless principles. And this is done through throwing off old belief structures, Jupiter and Gemini retrograde. All right. So I'm going to bring in the nodes now, especially because the moon is squaring them. The moon's resolution is that north node and Pisces, which is ruled by Neptune, both in the sixth house. There's a choice that needs to be made. It's indicative of this. The north node is also about inducing choices. These choices deal with the need to dissolve old mental constructs, and our mental constructs, Mercury, are the ways in which we classify different things. So if I'm classifying this as bad or good in a very binary sense, we're needing to look at that on a collective level. And we're needing to look at where the distortions of natural law are playing out, where there's not giving, sharing, and inclusion, where there's not reverence for other sentient life, where there's distorted values that are perpetuating mass crisis on a global level, whether through war or through global warming. And what this is also indicating is as we dissolve these dynamics, we get to improve upon humanity in all facets in a total way. So the other dynamic that I want to speak to is Mercury and Capricorn in the third house is ruling that south node. That south node is in the 12th house. It's in a paradoxical house. It's really reflecting the need to culminate these long-standing Virgo issues of where we've denied, where we've excused, where we are not looking at the Piscean total truth of reality, where we are wanting to stay stuck in a victimized consciousness. And Mercury technically is square to the nodal axis during this chart, when this chart was cast, during the when the shift happened. And Mercury's resolution is that south node. So there's a need to, yes, take accountability, but it's also a need to improve upon the social structures in the everyday, day-to-day lives of the people. And that is through looking at our belief systems. So I'm going to stop this. We can also see with Ceres and Aquarius, there's been a loss of community, whether through division, divisiveness, or through traumatizing events like fires or flooding, where people have had their whole entire community wiped out. But I want to talk a little bit about Mercury and Virgo, especially Mercury and Capricorn ruling that south node of Virgo. That south node again is reflecting that we are re-experiencing crisis right now, Virgo crisis, from our inability to take accountability for the choices, Mercury, accountability, Capricorn, for the choices that we have made. And there's a need to make new choices. If we don't start doing Virgo in a healthy way by analyzing the information that is coming into our consciousness right now through even observing and objectifying Pluto and Aquarius, Uranus and Taurus, what is going on, and finding Virgo-like solutions for this, then the North Node in Pisces and Neptune are going to trigger events that are going to force us to make new choices. And this is where we can experience disillusionment, loss of faith, loss of hope on all levels, on a global level. And so when we are looking at the distortion of Virgo, which is coming into play here with that South Node, and what we're having to revisit is due to Mercury Capricorn reflecting the patriarchal thinking that's at play globally, we're looking at how the beliefs that government systems, the consensus 70% of the population has right now, are absolutely rooted in distortions of natural law. How do I want to put this? It's really speaking to, on the one hand, that North Node in Pisces is wanting the collective conscious to individuate through Pluto and Aquarius to accelerate growth, but also to expand its consciousness through adaptability, mutability. We're talking about mutable archetypes here, Virgo Pisces, timeless and natural principles. It's about recovering this. That is actually who we are naturally. So Mercury in the sign of Virgo, when naturally expressed, there's a need for us to look at through crisis that become triggered during this 18-month cycle, because they will. I'm not trying to fearmonger. We're already seeing it. It's already underway. There's a need to have discrimination about the information that we take in, and discrimination around philosophies and value systems and different kind of psychological concepts or religions. Because right now, how society, humanity is radiating, is the way I would say, is through a Virgo-like victimized consciousness. All you have to do is observe and look around. Pluto and Aquarius wants us to do that. Pisces wants us to expand our consciousness through a direct inner perception. And the best way to tap into that is to sit in nature and to observe the natural teachings that go on, just like Aboriginal and Indigenous peoples have done for forever. It's also where you can start to go out into society and to just observe conversations, thinking, things that are going on. North Node in Pisces is wanting us to go from Virgo-like deductive reasoning to inductive reasoning, Pisces. Understanding the truth, seeing the whole, the total truth. Whereas in Virgo, we can analyze and we can fit things to, we can intellectualize things to the point that we can make a really good Jupiter and Gemini sales pitch about it, right? And it's not about convincing or converting, it's about knowing. And truth doesn't mean to be defended, but right now it does on a global level because there are so many distortions. So really, there's this time period of where we're dissolving South Node in the 12th house, these old mental Virgo constructs of victimization. Victimization, I talked a little bit about this on my video for the full moon in Cancer. It's in my article I did, but victimization is so nuanced. The epitome on a global level, why I'm saying that there is a victimized consciousness radiating, emanating from the collective unconscious right now is because of our Virgo-like denial. Victimized consciousness at its root, at its essence, is whenever there are situations that are repeating and repeating over and over again, and you're not finding a solution or an action to take, and you're staying stuck in analysis paralysis, or the action is dependent upon someone or something else. That is the essence of victimization. It breeds victimization. And so we're re-experiencing this. How many people are not doing anything about what's going on? There's not enough people. Most people are not doing anything. They might be talking, they might be complaining, Virgo, about it, but they're not doing anything. And so that Mercury ruling, that South Node of Virgo, is speaking to the need for us to take accountability. And that moon in Gemini, square the nodes, is the need for us to make a choice to take accountability. Mercury ruling that. And as we do that, we can change the structure of the collective conscious. We can dissolve the ways in which are not working on a global level and that are perpetuating divisiveness and crisis and cataclysm and trauma. And if we make the choice, it promotes healing, it promotes faith. But in order to do that, what we're going to see is when we don't make choices that are needed to be made, and we didn't do it in the past, we have a happy little nodal transit that comes around, and those past dynamics, in this case of Virgo-like nature, are going to be re-experienced. Crisis, denial, all the things I just went on and on about. What is going to happen is Neptune is going to trigger certain events and or the ruler of the North Node in order for us to actualize that North Node of surrendering, of expansion, of confronting truth, all of the Piscean dynamics. Those events will create a need for a different choice to be made. And so we will have to go back to this kind of South Node dynamic and improve upon it in order to move into the Piscean culmination of these long-standing patriarchal dogmas, philosophies, religions that perpetuate victimized consciousness. Victimized consciousness looks like self-righteousness. It looks like the inability to not take accountability. Sometimes it can be taking accountability for your own stuff, but instead of creating action or change, you're wanting to focus on what the other person isn't doing. So that criticalness now gets projected on them. It is also where we're creating separation. We aren't viewing all life as sentient. We're not viewing animals, nature, plants, minerals as valuable as us, which they all play a specific function and role in order to keep us alive. Think about the bees. Think about if some type of species were to be wiped out, it could create a domino effect that would affect us. But we are too rooted in this distortion of Leo, of exclusion and indignation and self-righteousness, that we are not improving. We are not dissolving the old structures or the old form right now. We are perpetuating crisis, Virgo, and trauma, Aquarius. So there's also this undertaking of what I see over the next 18 months is there are going to be people who are going to feel the Neptunian whispers of the soul. They're going to feel a higher calling in order to co-create, in order to help heal humanity right now. And they might be someone who's been denying this themselves. They don't feel ready enough. How could little old me help? We don't know. There's a lot of activism that could be triggered right now. There's a lot of people who have knowledge that are gaining knowledge that could be used to improve. But the key is that there will be people who are helpers that get activated right now. And they are needing to listen to that Neptunian whisper from within, the co-creative function that Source is asking them, Source, Pisces, Neptune. And it will be seeded into their consciousness. Consciousness is Neptune, Pisces, by the way. So they might come out of hiding. There could be some of these souls who are needing to liberate from hiding, out of fear from traumatic events of the past. And they're needing to improve upon that. There are some people who are going to want to atone. Atonement is a really big dynamic right now, especially dealing with Virgo. Atonement can serve the purpose of it can become distorted in a very personal way. I went over that in the article that I wrote, but it can be where one is able to purge and purify guilt, depending on if they're using discrimination on how to give. Pisces, the high Neptune, the higher octave of Venus, in a supreme form of giving, right? So there could be people who maybe now through certain events that are triggered and they become disillusioned, or they realize that their belief system was wrong. It was not rooted in natural law, that it was actually causing harm. There are some people who could decide that they want to atone for that natural guilt. They could decide that they want to use their resources or their inner knowledge or that experience to express, talk, teach, communicate, write, some form of being of service, right? That's a higher ideal I have about hopefully that happening. As people get confronted, they want to atone in a healthy way. They want to be reintegrated back into the community and want to find a specific function in order to help heal what's gone on. And then there's also some people who have learned guilt. So many projections that have been forced upon them, that they've been working through their own inner guilt and they're realizing the actual truth of things, and they want to be of service in order to help other people be able to heal. There's so many ways that this can happen on a global level, and it's really important for us to do our personal work, But I do want to say, and I talked about this earlier this week, what we did not acknowledge during 2006 through 2008, the last time that these nodes were in the same placements, South Node Virgo, North Node Pisces, what we did not acknowledge, what we did not improve upon on a collective global level, we are going to be re-experiencing that, but this time in a bigger way, in a way that accelerates growth by mass confrontation. Uranus in the 8th house of that chart, in order to really culminate these issues that have been going on for thousands of years, and especially in the last couple of 100 years. The other way that I see this working is with Pluto in Aquarius. Gemini, Uranus is going to move into Gemini. There could be some people who are wanting to, through the crisis that they see or the dynamics that are being triggered on a global collective level, they could want to utilize different forms of intelligence or what am I looking for? The word science, anything like that in order to help improve. It's like changing the resources. What are the resources that we have right here, right now, that we can use for improvement? That's part of Uranus and Taurus right now. And then it's about learning about this, how to use this, making the choice about how to do it once Uranus goes into Gemini. But again, we will be forced back into this Virgo principle time and time again in order to actualize this North Node and Pisces and Neptune is going to be entering Aries later on. That is a whole birthing process that is going to happen on a collective level where what was hidden from us, it will be exposed. And that is what is going to happen, honestly, throughout the totality of this 18-month cycle. This is the beginning of Pluto staying in Aquarius, of a 20-year cycle. This is where if we want things to change and to shift and to revolutionize and to be different, well, we've got to do this Virgo work, and we're going to get a few Virgo-like dynamics to really confront and instigate this evolutionary desire to truly return back to natural law is what is being asked of us. And natural law is just the truth of having compassion, grace, and experiencing common humanity through giving grace and having compassion and being a good steward, Virgo. So this is what I wanted to say about this. As the weeks unfold, I will be talking about this on more personal levels instead of a collective level. I'll kind of do it how I usually do. But this one, I didn't speak about it collectively in the article that I did. I really emphasized personal things that could come up. I did post the chart for those of you who like a chart. It's on that article. You could pull it up yourself. You could save that. It doesn't matter. But as the weeks go on, throughout, I mean, I've got 18 months to be talking about these nodes, right? But I did want to speak to the collective energies of this. I also want to say Pluto is also indicative of, well, it's indicative of evolution. And whenever there's a resistance to evolution, whether individually or collectively, confrontations happen through cataclysmic or crisis events. And the archetype of crisis is Virgo. So I want you to think about that through confrontations and resisting being fixed, Aquarius is a fixed energy of not doing anything because we're Virgo, denying it, excusing it, not finding solutions. Traumatic events can happen that are crisis or cataclysmic in order for us to be in a process that can speed up evolution. Evolution speeds up anytime we have a cataclysmic event. It also brings community together. And whenever community comes together, we're seeing this out with the fires in Los Angeles. When community comes together, they find solutions, Virgo, and solutions that help to culminate these dynamics through improving upon them. So I want us all to be observing this. The best way to expand your consciousness is through observation and correlation and the direct experience of feeling it within through the pure emotion, Pisces, and not denying the truth. And if you have something emanating from within you, an action to take, an idea that you have, a path that is opening up, the key right now is to listen to those whispers, to that Neptunian function, and to not Virgo deny it. Because really, as you create that action, it teaches you faith, it expands your consciousness, it strengthens your relationship to source, it recenters your soul and ego structure, and it promotes healing, and it creates solutions through, as we follow one inner calling, more and more of the path unfolds, and the path unfolds as we take it Virgo-like step by step. And that is what we're meant to do right now. So there's that. Also, I wanted to say that I now have a shop on my website. You can purchase digital downloads of 3 of the past lectures that I've done. They're all on asteroids. One is from my conference lecture from the JWG Evolutionary Astrology Association concert. 2 others are from the Goddess Asteroids series that I've been doing. More of those will be posted as I finish them, and eventually you could purchase the whole class series. But they're on my website in the shop for $35. You can download them. You don't have to email me anymore. And also, the Capricorn birthday special is running for 5 more days. Then it will switch over to the Aquarius birthday special. Gosh, I hope I get some of you guys, especially with these energies going on. And again, I have my nodal cycle workshop that you can sign up for, only 5 spaces, and that's on the booking page. So I have another episode of the Arcane Astrology Talks coming out tomorrow. When you wake up, it should be there. It is with Louise Eddington, and we are going over, well, she is, and then we're having a conversation about Carlico. So I know that there have been people on here who have had an interest in Carlico, and now you have someone with a lot of knowledge who's sharing that, and you get to absorb it, osmose it, and then hopefully utilize it in your own practice or in your own life. So I hope all of you all got something out of this, and I will see you all soon.